Let's go, Kuma. Let's go, let's go, let's go, Kuma, Kuma, let's go. Let's go, Kuma, Kuma, let's go, let's go, let's go, Kuma, Kuma, let's go. Let's go. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, Kuma. There was someone who's been pestering me all day on Discord, and they can, like, just wait, Kuma. Just wait. Just let me wait. Just let me wait, Kuma. People are weird sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. They're pestering you all day on Discord. Please, notice me, senpai. Please, notice me. Notice me. And then when you answer them, they're like, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck are you saying? What? Nani? Nani? Wait. I'm checking. Wait. I'm asking. Just asking. I was annoyed today, Kuma. I'm not gonna lie. Remember what I was talking about yesterday? I was talking about the fact that for some reason they unpublished my coffee page related to my side activities, Kuma. Because I am the great scientist Eureka Rosemary Catherine Wainwright. I am the greatest. Of course I am. Where's my hat? Where's my fucking hat, by the way? Where's my fucking hat? I never put my hat. Just give me my hat. My hat. Aren't you entertained right now? Where's my hat? That's not my hat. That's not my hat. That's not my hat either. Where's my hat? Okay, now my hat is here. Where's my light bulb? Not this. Not like this. Not like this. I can move it. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my god. 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 I think I should share my links though. Right? Right? But these guys, what the fuck? Okay, wait. First, sharing my links. There are people you genuinely wonder if they are right in the brain. That genuinely, like the internet sometimes, oh my god, the internet, oh my god. That I think we shouldn't allow everyone to be on the internet. I believe we shouldn't allow everyone to be on the internet. As with many things, there should be some kind of screening, you know. I don't believe you know, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I only believe in Joe Hendry, but I don't believe in that. I believe that the internet should be there should be a test, right? There should be a test. Kind of like how we should test people if they want to vote, I believe. I think. I guess I shared it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. They denied my appeal. To me, it's like this website is a joke. This website is a joke. It is. It's a big joke. It's a big joke. Anyway, if you want to ask me anything about anime, because I forgot I put this, you can ask me anything, Kuma. I'm pretty knowledgeable. I've watched more than 2,000 anime easily. More than 2,000, because that's pretty much one of my main hobbies. I could answer anything. Just, please, I'm begging you, just don't ask me anything about Gundam. I hate Gundam. I don't like Gundam. Sorry to tell you that. I don't like Gundam. I think Gundam sucks. I don't like Gundam. I don't. I love mecha anime, but I don't like Gundam. To me, Gundam is just a series that was made to shill you model kits and toys. It's only for this reason. Model kits and toys. It's not a good series, you know. The only Gundam anime I actually like was G Gundam, you know. The one directed by Yasuhiro Imagawa, the GOAT. This director is really quite based, and I think that's why this specific Gundam series was good. But all the others sucks ass. I don't like Gundam. Don't ask me anything about Gundam. I mean, I know the lore and stuff, but nah, I don't like Gundam. I don't. Okay, just let me answer this message because I'm still talking to this person. I can't believe it. I just can't. Of course, I don't have my macro. Of course, Kuma. Of course. Anyway, first, let's start again. Where's my hat? Here. Where's my light bulb? Here. Can I turn it on? Thank you. The red one. The red one is pretty cool. Anyway, I was talking about what I was talking about. Alright, they denied my appeal. These websites fucking sucks. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they did it. I don't. Because again, you have random ass posters on the internet, like Twitter posters, for any reason. They set up a tip account, you know. They're not even tweeting stuff of value. Just today, I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet on Twitter from that guy retweeting all the Type Moon stuff. You know, he's pretty much a Heizui fan, and he keeps only retweeting articles about Type Moon, like game announcements, articles. You know, pretty basic stuff that he didn't made or didn't write, but he kept doing this. You know. And he was saying something about Zettai Ryoiki, which is pretty much, if you don't know what's Zettai Ryoiki, it's a concept in otaku language that means absolute territory. Unfortunately, I can't really show you here with my legs because, as you can see, I wear tights, complete tights, you know. But if you could see a tiny bit of my skin between the high socks, if I was wearing high socks, that's what we would call Zettai Ryoiki. Let me see if I can show you an example, Kuma, because I'm all about showing example so people can understand what I'm talking about, because obviously I am an otaku myself, but it doesn't mean that everyone is acquainted with otaku terms, you know, because it has a pretty big history. I would say that the real concept of otaku was birthed probably during the mid-80s, even though it wasn't really the big thing it is now. But that's when you had the first really true anime nerds, you know, that were into as I was talking about, since I was talking about Gundam, they were into robot anime and all of this stuff, you know. Let me see if I can show it to you. I guess that could be, that's actually a cool image, right? If it loads. Why is it so small? Sometimes I think the Google image search engine isn't really good, Kuma. Okay, this one should be good. If I save it, please. Onegai shimasu. This guy is dumb. This guy is dumb. Oh my fucking god. Okay, whatever. I guess you're gonna get Menhela Eureka today. That's what you're gonna get, guys. Anyway, this one. This one. This is the one. This is the pick. Zettai Ryoiki. If you're not acquainted with the concept, it is pretty much can be translated as absolute territory. And that's pretty much the part that is between the sock and the skirt, you know. And I would argue that the real Zettai Ryoiki, pretty much, when we really start talking about Zettai Ryoiki, would be the two last examples. The two last pictures, the two last sets of legs, you know. What you can see between the skirts and the socks is quite a sexy part. It's a sexy part, Kuma. It is sexy. It makes some otakus really go all wild, you know, they love it. They really love it a lot. Even more considering that this combo of wearing a skirt and high socks was popular in Japan for a long time, Kuma, a long time. It was already really popular during the 80s, pretty much. So to go back to what I was talking about that that guy retweeting Type Moon stuff, like I said, I'm not sure he did his research quite well, but he was pretty much misinforming people, because he was saying that this idea of Zettai Ryoiki originated from early 2000. I think pretty much 2001 and 2002, but that's completely wrong, Kuma. That's completely wrong. By the way, let me see, because I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. So I guess we're not really watching anime documentaries for now. I could have just named the stream, the Eureka stream, the Great Scientist stream, as Anime Zatsudan, what I'm doing right now, because usually when I talk about anime, I guess I'm talking about everything otaku related, pretty much. How can I do it easily though? Can I make a copy of this and then I paste it? I guess duplicate should do. I will place it here. Right, this is the one. But instead of putting this, we'll put it like that. This is the term. Zettai Ryoiki. I prefer writing it like this usually. Usually when I write Japanese words in Romaji, Kuma, I like using the U, OU, rather than using the I forgot the name of this accent you put above it, but I'm not using it because I think it's better to write it like this, for me at least. Anyway, absolute territory, Zeta Ryoiki. Strictly speaking, you could use this word for every single example here, but really, usually we use it for the two last examples, as I've said. The two last examples, that's really the example of what is Zetai Ryoiki, and the examples where someone would find it sexy, Kuma, pretty much. Pretty much. By the way, I hope I changed the... Yes, I did change the name of my stream, by the way, because I forgot to do it yesterday. Foot fetish revealed. I mean, that was pretty much obvious, even though I would argue that I have more of a leg fetish than foot fetish, specifically, Kuma. But they're included. They're all included, pretty much, in the same parts. I like legs, I like feet, and I like yes, all of these parts. I think knees can be pretty sexy too, obviously. But yes, foot fetish. Like I said, I've been reading this manga. Let me show you, by the way, since we're talking about feet. Again, I apologize if the stream is a bit confusing, I guess, or a bit... There isn't really any type of scripts, but obviously I never use scripts for my streams because you're always getting unfiltered Eureka, you know, whether it is during the good days and the bad days. But what I mean by that is that I'm really going full freestyle. By the way, I'm surprised I'm actually getting a follow today. Thank you, your beloved Easy. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing fine. I'm doing alright, as you can see. I'm doing quite alright, Kuma, as you can see. Like, everything normal, everything is going well. Don't pay attention to my red light bulb. It's just a dysfunction, you know. It shouldn't look like that, you know. Obviously, everything is going fine, right? Right, guys? A little froggy pops in to wish you a happy day. Nice. Thank you. Thank you, your beloved EC. That's pretty nice of you. Hope you're doing fine too. I hope you're doing fine. Eureka live on TV. Is it TV? Is it really TV? It's not TV. It's not. It's not. TV is too old. Even though I used to love CRT TVs, you know. I used to love them, CRT TVs, because they were fat. Yes, they were fat, but they were cool. Especially to play retro games. Older screens and older monitors were better, were way better. I could also do you a whole video essay about how the old screens and monitors were better than modern screens and monitors. Nowadays, every time I'm looking to get a new monitor or a new screen, whether it is a TV screen or a PC screen, you know, PC monitor, they all suck. They all suck unless you're ready to spend a whole lot of money. If you want to get a good but really good TV screen, it's minimum 1,000 euros or dollars, minimum. And if you want to get a really good, and by good I really say really good, I'm really saying really good, guys, because I would argue that 95% of PC gamers have a low tier monitor, a low tier screen, me included. because obviously Eureka is broke as fuck, Kuma. Even more when Coffee pretty much banned my pages that serves me as a way to get tips. So I can't even get tips anymore. So I'm broke as fuck. But pretty much 95% of PC gamers have a bad screen. And the reason is pretty simple. Modern screens, modern PC monitors, no matter the type of screen you're getting, if you're getting an IPS screen or a TN screen or a VA screen, you know, I'm giving you, those are the technical terms to just talk about the type of screens. But all of those screens are bad. They're bad. They all have inherent defaults, flaws is the word, that makes them bad. And if you want to get a good screen, whether it is a TV screen or a PC screen, you have to spend at minimum 800 euros, at $800, you know, like including your PC screen, you know. If eventually, like, if I had all the money in the world and I wanted to get the PC screen of my dream, I would have to spend minimum 1,000 euros easily, because the modern screens right now, even at mid-range, from low range to mid-range to early high range, they all suck. They all suck. Now you're probably going to tell me, but Eureka, my screen is okay, it's fine, it's alright. The screen, the monitor screen I paid 300 euros is working well. I mean, again, I'm not telling you that it's not working or that it's not serviceable. I'm telling you it's not good. Like right now I got 3 screens. I got my laptop screen, I got my first PC screen on the left and my second PC monitor on the right. All of them sucks. All of them. But they work. They let me do the job, Kuma. Pretty much. Alright, I forgot to share here. If I can find it. Okay, not this. Was it here? So anyway, Zettai Ryoiki, I was talking about that, it's great. Zettai Ryoiki A is the best. Exactly, that's what I was talking about, Bolisuchi, but even though strictly speaking, you could talk about Zettai Ryoiki for every single one of those examples, because Zettai Ryoiki, which means absolute territory, describes the part between the socks, the top of the sock, and the border of the skirt. But the best ones are the 2 last ones. Usually we would talk, especially as otakus, we would talk about Zettai Ryoiki from the 2 last example. I played Elden Ring on CRT TV. Game looked amazing, but you couldn't read the small text. Yes, that's also the thing with CRT TV. Obviously, they were better for retro games back when we had a lower resolution game and pixelated games. A modern game could still look good on a CRT, but as you said, Balisu, because of the way the text is displayed on screen and how everything is so high resolution, if you pick a CRT TV from the 90s and you try to display it here, it will look a bit weird or unreadable at times. Pretty much, Kuma. Okay. Like this. Again, I apologize. I'm a bit here. You're getting Menhela Eureka. You know, that's not the same Eureka you're used to. That's not the same Eureka you're used to, and I don't mind. That's just how I am. That's just how I am, Kuma. That's just how I am. I'm not all the time say so. You know, I'm not all the time say so. Believe it or not. You know, some people are like, "What the fuck? What is this side of Eureka? I can't believe it." But that's just how I am. they had less input lag too. Obviously, the first thing that was great about CRT TVs was the reaction times. That's for sure. So when you're a gamer and you like to have snappy controls, you know, when you're playing, for example, a platformer or any kind of game that requires precise execution, you would want to get a low, really low, close to zero reaction times. And in this respect, CRT TVs were obviously top tier, Kuma. But if it was only that, because our reaction times got worse with the modern screens, but if it was only that, it's not only that. I would argue that even the modern screens, monitors that we have, are shitty looking. They are shitty looking. If you want a great monitor, you need to invest to get one of those monitors that, for example, professional are using, you know, like the one that they're using. For example, if you're an artist and you want the type of screen that shows you the colors accurately, you know, that you can really see all the colors accurately, that you can really see the black parts, the black color, because modern monitors are pretty bad at displaying black colors, you know, and shadows, the contrast. Depending on the stream you're getting, the contrast isn't as good. It looks like shit. It really looks like shit. If you want to get a good monitor, you have to spend 1,000 minimum. I've looked it up in the past, and now we're in complete inflation, so I'm sure it got even more expensive. But what I can tell you for sure is 95% of gamer, and really I'm pretty sure it's even more than that, but most gamers, they don't spend that much for a monitor, you know. They don't spend that much, they don't spend more than $1,000 for a monitor, you know, because they look at Amazon and they see, okay, I can get this screen, it costs $300 or $400, and I get, as you said, Prince Anime, 170 Hz, I get a 4K resolution, I get all the blows and whistles, you know, G-Sync, what was the other tech named? G-Sync, and there was another name too, the FreeSync is from AMD. Oof. Talking a lot. What is this peak? I clicked on it. I'm clicking, but it's not weird. You shared a peak, Bolisu, but I can't really see. It's not a link, right? Why can't I see? Oh, it's a image of the alien looking sharp on CRT TV, but looking blurry on 4. Okay, you were making a joke. Okay. I tried to click on it. It's not my fault, Kuma. It's not my fault, I swear. Like, look at this. Look at this. I have to show you. I have to show you, Kuma. I have to. Otherwise, you will laugh at me. You will laugh at me, Kuma. I have to show you. I have to show you how it displays on the Twitch chat. It's not my fault, Kuma. Let me show you. I wonder if there is a way to go quicker if I want to upload an image on... I guess I could just screen capture it. Was it that one? I think it's that one, right? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this, Kuma. The last post on the chat, and the way Bolisu message was displayed, it's a hyperlink. It's a hyperlink, Kuma. A hyperlink. So obviously now that I read it, I know it was a joke, but since it was purple, I tried to click on it, and when I click on it, it says an error occurred. A network error occurred, because obviously it's not a real link. I got baited, Kuma. I got baited. Bolisu, you baited me. You did. Got baited, Kuma. Okay, anyway, what I was talking about? All right, I was talking about monitors. Why was I talking about monitors, by the way? Sometimes I don't even know how I end up like the train of thoughts. My train of thoughts, you know? I'm talking about stuff, and then sometimes I wonder, how did I get here? How did I get there? It doesn't make sense. Why am I talking about fat frogs right now? Why? How did it happen? Plasma were renowned for their contrast, but I think they fell out of favor due to screen burn-in. Exactly, that was a problem with Plasma back then, the burn-in. Burn-in was a big problem with early modern screen. That's for sure, you know. Even in some CRTs, you could have burn-in at times, which is why back then, do you remember about screensavers? The screensavers, Kuma, do you remember that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But back then, it was recommended that if you had a computer to set a screensaver, because with the screensaver, it was a way to avoid burn-in in your screen, you know? That was an old-fashioned way to avoid burn-in, you know, like, you know, the screensaver with the DVD logo going left and right and left and right, and you were waiting for the loop where it was going around all the corners, Kuma. That was hypnotic, you know. You don't see them anymore, that's true, because we don't really need them. Honestly, like now I don't have really. I wanted to set a screensaver again, and if I had to set one, is the one of Ayu Tsukimiya from Canon running in the snow. I don't know if you've played or watched Canon. There is the 2006 adaptation of the visual novel named Canon, and the ending that I really love. It's a pretty simple ending, but I love it. I love it. It's a great ending. By the way, is Ayu, the main character of the story, running in the snow. She's just running. And then you have the music in the background, and it's just so peaceful. That's such a peaceful ending. And what I wanted is to set this on loop. You know, the clip of Ayu running in the snow. I wanted to set it as a screensaver. Discords. Oh right, I remember this site. 60 FPS, 30 FPS. Oh, is that your screen? Acer Nitro. Response time, motion blur. Oh. Obviously, that's a great example. That is a great example, actually, that you sent here, Bolisu. That's a great example. It really shows you how modern screen, it's really gotten more blurry. That's true. That's true. That in a lot of, even more if you have a VA panel. I know that with VA panel, it's even more, I mean, it happens more. If you have a VA panel, usually if you get a VA panel for your monitor screen, it's because you want more contrast. Because VA panels are better at displaying the contrast between the blacks and the other colors than, let's say, an IPS monitor or even a TN monitor. But the flow that VA panels have are ghosting. There's a lot of ghosting, and the image can look really blurry at times, you know. For example, if you're playing fast-paced games like FPS, like Call of Duty, or any fast-paced games, pretty much, you will get ghosting with a VA panel, pretty much. Now, to be fair, don't need better response type if you're playing VN. Obviously, that's for sure. That's for sure. Visual novel is an example of a medium where you don't really need a specific screen to play them. If anything, you could argue that visual novels aren't really games for the most part. I mean, there is still a gameplay element. Like, let's say, for example, if you play a visual novel completely blind and you're trying to like, not looking at a guide and trying to get the route you want. For example, for your waifu, there is a waifu that you love in a specific visual novel, like for example in canon or in any other visual novel, and you want to get the storyline, the story plot, and the ending with this waifu, but you don't want to look at a guide. We could argue in some ways that you're playing a game because you're making choices yourself and you're trying to find the right choices in order to get the specific ending. That's my only argument to give some credit, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but to say that visual novels can be seen as games. Obviously, there are more obvious examples, like for example, the Ace Attorney series that has really... The gameplay in Ace Attorney is more obvious, or a game, usually mystery game are pretty good at that, like a Danganronpa or Zero Escape. In those ones, the gameplay aspect is a bit more obvious, but I think that even in really the classic visual novels, if you have a choice system, you can argue that it can be a game. Now, to be fair, don't need better response. Oh, I'm reading the same message. I'm yapping too much. I do. Yapping. Yapping. And yapping. Where's my water? I'm actually surprised I'm streaming. At first, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was thinking, okay, I will delay or cancel or skip the stream. I should cancel it, or I should delay it, or I don't know, because I was tripping today. I was tripping. Dissociating. That's one of those days. I was tripping. But regarding Zetai Ryoiki again, the origin of the term, it's... Maybe you don't know this, but Zetai Ryoiki is coming from Evangelion. It's a term that was coined by Evangelion, believe it or not. If you remember Evangelion, in Evangelion there is something that is called Eighty-Filudo, if I pronounce it in Japanese, or 80 field, the 80 field, which is pretty much the shield that the angels and the Eva, the Evangelion, can show to protect themselves, you know. 80 field, the 80 field, which the complete, if you want the complete name, and I think it was, I don't remember if it's the manga who talked about the complete, no, I think it's mentioned in the anime. It's actually mentioned in the anime. Yes, I remember. I watched Evangelion more than 10 times, actually closer than 20 times, you know. It's one of my favorite anime. But the complete name of 80 Field is Absolute Terror Field. Absolute Terror Field. And in Japanese, in the Japanese materials of Evangelion, I think it was in one of the translation of the Japanese anime, they called it Absolute... how did they call it? Absolute Territory Terror Field. I don't know why they call it like that, but they translated this way. They said absolute territory terror field, something like that, pretty much. But they used the term, pretty much, absolute territory. They used zettai ryoiki first. So that's where the term is coming from. It's not coming from the early 2000s. When I've seen that tweets from that guy, that Type Moon guy, who said that it was coming from early 2000s, I thought to myself, hey dude, you didn't do your research. You didn't even look up the term, you know, because it's not even hidden information. If you type zettai ryoiki on Google and start looking at article, all of them will mention Evangelion, because it's a term that was coined by Evangelion, pretty much. And regarding the style, as you can see here, which is the combo between wearing a skirt and high socks, it's not an early 2000 anime thing, not at all. You could go back to the 80s with anime like Kimagure Orange Lodo or Ramna, or if you want examples from the 90s, Sakura, Cardcaptor Sakura. In all of these anime, you had a character that were wearing this type of outfits, you know, which is the combo between the skirt and the high socks, with a focus on the part between the skirt and the socks. Zettai ryoiki, you know. So do your research, Kuma, do your research. You put a link where you can get tips, and you're lucky enough to not get reported by Schizo, because obviously I got reported by a random ass Schizo. That's why I got my page unpublished. You pretty much spreading misinformation on the internet. If you want at least to be legit, do your research, Kuma. Do your research. Come on. It's easy to search. It's not hidden. It's not hidden information. That's what drives me crazy. I could understand if, for example, the information wasn't available easily on the internet. Then I can understand the mistake, because it's a legit mistake. It's hard to find, you couldn't find it, so you're talking about only the elements you could find, and then someone like Eureka, the great scientist, can chime in and give you more information, because I have the information, but I conceive that the mistake is legit. But in this case, in the case of zettai ryoiki, come on, man, come on, everyone knows. I mean, not everyone, but it's pretty well known that it's coming from Evangelion. Pretty much. I just noticed your vials are not the same colors as yesterday. Yes, exactly. I can control them. Now they're red. They're with your blood. This is the blood of my enemies. This is the blood of my enemies. The blood. I'm a vampire, Kuma. I'm a vampire. I can control it, by the way. Just let me see. Also, did the guy answered me again? Because I was talking to a guy. I'm sorry, I'm just answering someone on Discord. I'll be back in a quick bit, Kuma. I mean, it's hard for me. Can you do that? Talking when you're talking, like talking aloud when you're talking to someone on Discord or on any chat app. I can't do this. I can't do this, right? How do you do it? Right. わかりました。I got so many stuff happening, guys. I don't know why they didn't publish my page again. I'm annoyed. I got annoyed. It's really this idea again that as I was talking yesterday, you know, people that are legitimately, they're breaking the rules, you know, they're breaking the rules, but they're not only breaking the rules, they're bragging about it, you know. If it was only breaking the rules, you know, if you're smart, you break a rule and you don't talk about it, so no one will be able to tell you or to try to use that against you, you know. Makes sense. But there are a ton of people that are bragging about it, and they're lucky. I guess they're more lucky than me. I don't know, Kuma. It drives me crazy. That really random Twitter poster that can't even check their information. They're not even doing their job right. They're not doing even their job right. Right? They're not. I give you an example. They're not doing their job right, and they have their like all their link about their you can support them on Coffee, on Throne, on Patreon, even though they're just a Twitter poster retweeting news articles that they didn't wrote. They didn't wrote the news article. They're just retweeting. At least that other guy, Wario64. Wario64 is a guy that is doing the same with gaming, you know, retweeting the gaming deals, the gaming news and stuff. It doesn't have any link like that, you know. I checked, it doesn't have any link like that, and I would argue that guy is more legit to have a link where you can support him, because he's really putting everything, all the news, everything you can find, you know, even the deals. He's sharing the deals and stuff. So I would argue this guy is more legit, but he's not putting links. But then you have random ass scrubs that can't even check their information and that are just retweeting news article that they didn't made. And then they're like, okay, if you want to support me, click on this Coffee link, click on this Patreon, click on this. They have all the thing set it up, you know, everything, and it's okay. It's okay. Me, a humble streamer, Kuma, I'm getting fucked. I am. I got so many things. Oh, right, I forgot about that. Right. Blue, pink, pinkish Eureka. I like pink. I will leave it like that. With my blood tubes. What should we do though? I don't know what to do. I'm losing my mind, Kuma. I'm losing my mind. What do you want to talk about, though? I mean, I think I had a video I could show, like a documentary that I could show, that we could watch. Or we could talk about anime, or I could play a game too, you know? I could play a game. Just like what annoys me with YouTube, again, I'm coming back again with my YouTube discourse and how I think that Twitch is better than YouTube. Like, I'm really convinced that Twitch is better, or at least more flexible than YouTube. With YouTube, every time you're setting a stream, it's like you're setting a video, you know, because you have to put the thumbnails, the category and everything. You have to set up more stuff, you know. So usually YouTube expects that your stream will be about a specific, like, it's almost like it works like a video, like you're making a video. They're treating streaming lives like videos, you know. And it doesn't make sense to me, because I'm really, as you can see, I'm the type of VTuber that is, I'm completely chaotic. I'm chaotic, you know. I would never be able to make a proper schedule, you know. Or if I had to have a schedule, I need a manager, you know, a manager. If, let's say, like, someday by luck I join a big VTuber agency, obviously I would get my shit together, you know. I will answer to the requirements to my manager and try to, for like, to the bitter end, I will try to force myself to do it well, you know. That's what I think. But here, as an indie VTuber, you already have so many stuff that you have to set up and things. YouTube wants you to set up a thumbnail, what is your stream going to be about, and this and that. You can't really change the title easily as on Twitch. What's really cool about Twitch is you go live, you yap, you play a game, you show videos, then you think to yourself, okay, now I want to do that. So you go to stream information, change the category, change the title, done. It changes in a fly automatically. With YouTube, you can't do that. You can't do that with YouTube. You can't. It's really, really rigid as a system. I feel like I'm in school. I feel like I'm in school when I'm trying to set up YouTube streams. Drinking kuma. I don't know. How are you? Kuma. Let me see if I can find the video though. Was this the video? I don't know if it's a good video, by the way. I don't know how good it is, but let's watch it. I guess. I don't know. Or if you want to do something else, I don't know. Honestly, I'm pretty annoyed today. That's the problem. That is the problem, Kuma. That is the problem, because I really feel Eureka, when Eureka feels that she got wronged, she doesn't feel good. I feel like I got wronged. I feel like I got wronged. I do. I really do. I really do. Like, I don't have any other words. Let me check my mails. Should I just sleep? Sleep on stream? I wish we had more words. I do agree that, I mean, it's a pretty common saying. It's a pretty common saying, but that we don't have enough words to express everything, you know? I don't know who said that first, but we don't have enough words to express everything, because human beings are such complex creatures, and our feelings are so complex, you know, and so contradictory at times, that we don't have enough words Like that's not even a joke. I really believe in that. We don't have enough words to express everything, you know. We don't. I demand revenge. Honestly, I do. Honestly, I do. But that's what I don't do that because I know that this type of situation, it is unfair. It's just like you and your luck, you know. It's just like you and your luck. You could start, for example, you could have this thought that, okay, I got wronged, and they said, okay, you're not allowed to have a profile, an account on this platform, even though you thought you were respecting their rules and you provided everything as an information. So you would think, okay, fuck this, let me go hunt left and right random accounts that aren't even properly set up and stuff, and let me report them. But even if you do that, it doesn't mean that you will feel better first, Kuma, but secondly, it doesn't even mean that they will do their job, because support, again, on this type of website and on the internet, support is really low tier. It depends on their mood. If the guy that is currently moderating, you know, that it's shift, I guess they have shifts or stuff like that, is in a bad mood or don't like you for some reason and stuff, they will ban you. But then for other situations, maybe you will get to another person will take care of your case, and they won't unpublish you or ban you. So yes, I'm demanding revenge, but I am powerless, you know. I feel like many people, my dream, my goal is to become the voice of people that feel wrongs here. That is what I think I wanted to talk previously before, but that's one of my goals. One of Eureka, the great scientist, Eureka Rosemary Catherine Wainwright, my goal is to become the voice of people who feel wronged. I want to become the voice of the voiceless, you know. I want to become the voice of people that feel wronged, of people who feel bullied. They feel bullied because of what they like. They feel bullied because they like anime, but specific stuff about anime. Maybe you like a specific part of anime that other people thinks it's too weird, but they're shaming you for that, and even worse than that, they want you to disappear. They want you to disappear. They want you to disappear because you like lolly show, or they want you to disappear because, as simple as that, because you like zetai ryoiki, because you like ecchi stuff. They want you to disappear. I want to become the voice of the voiceless, Kuma. I want to be the voice of people who feels they're drowning. They're drowning because people are bullying them, because they feel that the cosmos is against them, you know, that they can't enjoy what they want because every time they try, they're getting shamed. I want to be like that, the voice of the voiceless. I want to talk about this stuff, Kuma. That's what I want. Anyway, the video, Kuma. The video. How will I do that though? This guy too is annoying. Like the guy who was talking to me on Discord. Like there is a guy who was pestering me all day on Discord. See if I have to talk about it. There is a guy who was pestering me all day on Discord because I was busy and wasn't answering. And now that I answered that guy, is being weird as fuck. Come on, man. Don't be like that. Don't. I'm telling you. Where's the video, though? How should I do that? Will it even work? Can I do it like this? I guess if I put it here... I don't even know if it's a good... It's a pretty long video too. Do I really want to watch it? I mean, even if I don't finish it today, I could finish it another day, you know. I'm just doing this because I said we were going to watch, you know, Kuma, we were going to watch documentaries. What would they say? It's just that, you know, the type of people that want to talk to you, you know, sometimes on Discord, especially since I have my DM open because I don't like to close my DMs, they try to DM you, but obviously you're not available at all times because we all have lives, Kuma. Obviously, we all have lives. So obviously, if someone doesn't answer you right away, you can wait. You know, you don't have to spam them. That's what I mean. We need to work like that. I guess I should put it... like this. Okay, so the video is named Post-War Anime, the History of Animation in Japan. I think it's really interesting because usually, I mean, specifically this topic, I don't know if the video is good. But I think it's a pretty interesting topic because, you know, when you're an anime fan, most anime fans, especially modern anime fan, they're mostly watching a modern anime. I don't have a problem with that, obviously, because they just want to watch anime just to chill, you know, for entertainment. But anime has such a long history, especially when you know that the early anime was back when Japan was still in its post-war period. You know, when Japan obviously had a role in the World War II, which was a big thing all around the world, and they were part of the losers. And after the war, Japan was in a really bad state, you know, a really bad state. But because of this state, they started creating a lot of stuff, and specifically regarding manga. When you think of someone like Osamu Tezuka, for example, the god of manga, like Osamu Tezuka, even to this day, is the best mangaka ever because he did everything first and he did it so well. He was so much in advance for its time. But Osamu Tezuka used those feelings that he felt in post-war Japan to make his work, you know, to write his manga, draw his manga. So let's see. Let's go. Just like this. Should I let the subtitles? Maybe I will let them.
The history of anime is
inextricably... Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me full screen. I don't know why the video went down.
The history of anime is inextricably linked to the historical development of Japan. It was born immediately following the arrival of American warships, forcing open the nation's borders. While attempting to avoid becoming the latest Western colony, animation witnessed the influx of new technology, social change, and the dawn of Japanese imperialism. It helped educated citizens.
Those, as you can see already, they're pretty old anime, you know, animation works, because when anime started, it was still black and white. You're probably heard about anime like Tetsuwan Atomu, more commonly known as Astro Boy, you know. When you look at the first Astro Boy series, it's black and white.
But also justified the invasion and subjugation of other cultures. It became a propagandist tool in a bloody quest of expansion. Just a few months after the release of Japan's first feature-length animation, the war met an abrupt and catastrophic ending.
That looks pretty good for an old anime, by the way.
From the fallout and ashes of World War II, a new modern Japan would emerge, once again molded in the image of its conquerors. This is the history of post-war anime.
Again, a pretty interesting topic. Because if you start reading old manga, because I don't know how acquainted you are with old manga and old anime, but specifically old manga, because the first anime adaptations were more targeted at kids for the most part. So usually when you wanted to read about the more serious stuff, you had to read manga, whether it is manga and also more specifically gekiga. I don't know if you know what gekiga is, but gekiga is kind of like an alternative way to make manga. And all of those stories were really, really serious and raw, with raw themes, really serious themes.
Research covering anime in the post-war and occupation period of Japan is
Why does it
surprisingly
start with the
underdeveloped,
chapter 6?
examining only a few of the larger milestones, before moving swiftly on to 1963's Astro Boy and the anime TV boom. However, the 18-year period of 1945 to 1963 is one of the most important and influential periods in anime history. Sakura, or Cherry Blossom, was one of the first animations released after the surrender in
I heard about this one.
1946.
I heard
Directed
about
by
it.
Masuoka Kenzo, the film is a calm yet fantastical look at spring in Japan, a time of rebirth and peace. The quality of the film is truly a credit to the animator's tenacity, creating something
It's
so
interesting
positive
that
with limited resources. amid
it
the
released
depression and
1
scarcity
year
of
after the
post-war
end of
Japan.
the war.
Unfortunately, it was never officially released in theaters, as there were few who would have actually had the means to go out and see it. The atomic blasts of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, combined with the firebombings of major cities, had left
That
a large majority
sucks,
of the country
obviously.
in ruins. 1/3 of Japanese industry was destroyed. 30% of the population
I wish I could drop an atomic bomb on the internet though. Metaphorically, obviously. Don't get too crazy, Kuma. Don't get too crazy, but I wish I could drop an atomic bomb on the internet. Metaphorically, you know, just boom. Destroy modern internet. Disappear. Disappear. I don't want to see you anymore.
became homeless, and 6.5 million Japanese were stranded abroad and required to return home. Poverty was all that awaited the ex-soldiers, widows, and orphans upon their arrival. The number of active animators still attempting to find employment totaled around 100 artists. Despite their eagerness to get back to work,
That's
funding
already a
and
lot
supplies were,
for
of
its
course,
time.
extremely limited or prohibitively expensive. Some were able to find employment illustrating stories for the kamishibai, itinerant storytellers. The kamishibai
Oh,
earned their money
kamishibai.
selling
I remember
candies
about that
while
too.
narrating stories to children in areas where modern entertainment was not so available. Classic
There
figures
was an anime. That's a pretty
such as-
interesting point, by the way. There was an anime. There is an anime that is called Pop Team Epic. I don't know if you know about Pop Team Epic. Some of my emotes, specifically the ones I'm going to post, those two ones of Popuko. She's a character from Pop Team Epic. And Pop Team Epic is pretty cool because they used a lot of animation techniques in the anime. Notably in both seasons, season 1 and season 2. And there is an example of kamishibai. I guess it could be seen as an example of kamishibai because in this anime, they actually is a group of animators that was working, contributed to the anime, which is named ACBU, or which is the abbreviation for Armored Club. Boo, the club for armored core, not armored club, armored core. They were armored core fans pretty much, but ACBU. And one of their gimmick is to do animated stuff on the fly. They're telling stories by showing pictures they're drawn, and then they're flipping the pages, and you see the anime pretty much live, which is crazy when you think about. I guess that's an example of Kamishibai. Hey, did you drink one of your elixirs? Man, you were holding on that thing forever. I should, but this is blood. This is blood, Kuma. This is blood. This is not for drinking. This is the blood of my enemies, Kuma.
As Momotaro
The blood of my enemies.
And Japan's first superhero, Ogon Bato, the Golden Bat, became popular to a new generation.
Ogon
Later,
Bato.
as nostalgic adults, would bring him to life in animated form some 20 years later. These stories of bravery and morality perhaps served as an escape from a world now drowning in corruption and severely lacking in role models. 1947's Abandoned Cat Taro, another animation created by the prolific Masuoka, is a simple story about a jealous...
I mean, not only the CEO, even though CEO all suck. Free Luigi! Free Luigi! I'm saying it. We should free Luigi. Kuma. Yes, but not only the CEO, all my enemies. All of my enemies, you know. I feel that it's pretty easy for me to make enemies, Kuma.
Cat who runs away after its family adopts a homeless kitten. On first viewing, it might appear to be just an innocent cartoon. But at its core, the short film is actually a reflection of the sad reality faced by
when you look at the
Japanese
stories from this time, whether it is in early anime or manga, it's pretty sad, most of the time.
Carrying the ashes of their dead family members remains a grim reminder that the horrors of war do not end once the battles are over.
Drop it a little bit.
Returning soldiers, unceremoniously defeated, were often shunned by the public and faced extreme difficulties finding work or restarting a normal life. For the majority of urban Japanese, now destitute and constantly on the verge of near starvation, the black market became the only viable source of food and income.
That was a pretty bad time post-war for Japan, obviously.
In broad daylight, they were originally run by non-ethnic Japanese, but after a series of violent turf wars, the markets fell under the control of the Yakuza.
The Yakuza,
Where
obviously.
all manners of illegal activity flourished, a place where officials would offload stolen supplies. Farmers would sell their harvests at exorbitant prices, and the public pawned the clothes off their backs just to afford their next meal. This feeling of perverse desperation and hopelessness became associated with the Katsutori culture, named after an almost poisonous makeshift liquor, and was exemplified by the Katsutori magazine. The provocative covers were usually violent or sexual in nature.
That is
Were
risky.
a large portion of their containing comics, poetry, and articles. Now free from wartime censorship, this newfound freedom of erotic and adult expression also found
it's funny because it's still pretty, all things considered. I mean, they're saying that those covers are risky, but it's still pretty safe, I feel like. Especially when you compare to today. Today, it really feels that it's really easy for people to share really sexual covers, sexual drawings, sexual everything, you know. It's not really a taboo, I would think, for the most part.
An anime too. The Spider's Thread, a retelling of a 1918 short story.
It's really interesting to see all of those early animation work.
Ultimately falls back into damnation as a result of his selfishness.
From before Astro
Though
Boy.
tame by modern standards, it was understandably quite burlesque for audiences at the time. Recalling their own criminal perversion during the war, the government set up state-funded brothels to service the incoming American troops, believing this to be the only way
That's
to
true,
ensure
I
the
remember
safety
about
and
that.
purity of
Like
its
the
female
brothels for
citizens,
the
colloquially
burgers.
called an onomatopoeia, meaning to bang, slap, or be filled to the point of bursting. These women were among the first Japanese to interact with the Americans face to face. Through gifts of food, makeup, clothing, and of course money, their access to the latest trends led the Pan girls to become almost cultural ambassadors of American fashion and freedom of expression. The US's motivations during this period can perhaps best be displayed with the military instructional film, Our Job in Japan. Immediately created after Japan's surrender, the majority of the film's footage was recycled anti-Japanese
Yes,
propaganda.
there was a period of time where the USA had control over Japan. There is this guy, I forgot his name by the way, but he's pretty famous. This American general that was in Japan post-war, and pretty much it was like Japanese had to answer to this guy, to this American guy.
Used just months prior, American troops were told it was their duty to show the brainwashed Japanese that the American way was superior, whether they liked it or not. Even with the inequality
It's
and
always
animosity felt by both conqueror
America.
and conquered, there was a genuine sense of hope that a new, modern Japan was something that could benefit everybody. This sentiment can be seen in 1946's The Magic Pen, in which a young Japanese boy returning home from school finds a Western doll. While practicing his now compulsory English homework,
I'm cleaning my table. What do you want?
he
Damn,
falls asleep.
that's broken
and
English.
comes to life. She introduces herself in English and presents the boy with a magic pen that can make anything he draws become real. He immediately uses it to rebuild his ruined city, creating a montage of what a modern Japan might look like. While not a subtle metaphor,
That's
it
interesting.
was representative of the honest belief held by many.
But all
that
of those
through American
shorts
assistance, Japan
look
could become
really
better
good,
than
all
ever
things
before.
considered. They look good for its time.
When the U.S. took over control of the nation,
But it feels like isn't that I think it's the part 2 of the series. But I guess I'm more interested in post-war anime than pre-war anime, I guess, because that's really when it started
brought
to
with
go
them
full
and
throttle.
practically enforced Western pop culture. Jazz and classical music had always been popular before, but the pop culturally starved Japanese, upon first hearing the latest wave of modern music, embraced it instantly. Child actor Misora Hibori's Kappa Boogie Woogie was a massive genre-defining hit, and along with singers Eri Chiemi and Yukimaru Izumi, became known as the Three Sisters, releasing successive chart-topping records and feature films. Essentially, the Three Sisters became one of the first Japanese idol groups, leading the way for a future
Idol-y.
multi-billion-dollar industry. The Americans also brought with them their own big-budget Hollywood movies and animations.
Obviously.
The first Western animated feature shown theatrically was Max Fleischer's Gulliver's Travels in 1948.
I think I've seen that one. Yes, I've seen that one. Gulliver's
The film
Travel.
was made in full Technicolor and sound,
Look at how good it
wholly
looks.
outclassing current Japanese production capabilities on every level.
It looks really good.
Even peak wartime animations with full government funding looked amateurish by comparison. Not only technically superior, the import and licensing costs of foreign films were far cheaper than the budget needed to
It's true that at first you could see the difference between a Western production, specifically productions from the United States, because that's when, obviously, even before that, like United States have a big history with animation, just starting with Disney, Disney already at this point was already existed for more than 30 years. So they had obviously a lot of experience, also a whole legacy, and obviously they were already known, in their country. Were discolored at the times. Those ones in this point, like the Technicolor production from the United States, they were colored. That's why it was called Technicolor, because it was also a way to market it as the first animated works that are colored. But in Japan, in early, obviously in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when you think about Astro Boy, by the way, can I show you I think I could do that as a tangent to give you an example, actually. There are two examples I can give you of really early anime, but I'm really talking when it was the beginning of anime in its modern quote-unquote iteration. So weekly anime pretty much. So you think about stuff like Astro Boy or Tetsujin Nijuachigo. I will show you. I think this website is pretty good for showing anime themes. Let me show you Astro Boy, for example. So Astro Boy was released in 1963. Tetsuwan Atomu, winter 1963. And you'll see it's stayed in black and white. This is Astro Boy. Let's look at the up. Mighty Atom. This you can consider it as the first modern anime, because it was aired weekly. Mushi Production. It's the studio founded by Tezuka, by the way. We'll just drop a little. So at this point in time, you could already find animation works that were in color, notably coming from America. It's just that in Japan, since the medium was still birthing, it was still the beginning, and they obviously didn't have the same tools to make anime. At first, it was black and white, pretty much, because it was expensive to make TV anime to begin with. It was expensive, so if you wanted to make it in color, it would get even more expensive, obviously. The other example, and I would say that I like Astro Boy opening, but this one is my favorite, probably from the 60s. It's my favorite. 1963 too. I think it released even earlier than Astro Boy. Tetsujin. I love Tetsujin. Look at this. Guriko. Da 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 da. Tetsujin, Tetsujin, hayaku yuke. Guriko. This one is a banger. But to show you a comparison, this is... Now let's look at the opening of the Tetsujin adaptation they made in 2004. Because obviously all of those anime, Astro Boy, Tetsujin, and a lot of those old school anime, they had modern iterations of those. Did he just kill two ghosts that had robbed the bank? Yes, Tetsujin is is the shit. Tetsujin is... You shouldn't fuck with Tetsujin. He's a big robot that obviously is controlled by the main character, but you also have this feel that Tetsujin is alive. And in some ways, you shouldn't fuck with him because he doesn't give a shit. If you're a bad guy, you're dead. You're dead. So the other one... It's loading, Kuma. 2004, a great anime, by the way, because obviously you could watch the anime from 1963, but it's really old, you know. It's really old. It's mostly interesting for historical reasons, you know. But if you want to... Gomen, I drank. Gomen. If you want to watch a great modern adaptation of Tetsujin, the one from 2004 is great. Let's look at the op. Let's go. That's a great song. This was in 2004, by the way. Tetsujin, Tetsujin, hayaku yuke. This was a banger, by the way, but that's a great song. That one just looked like me. Which one? The main character, the kid, the Kodomo. I like a Shotaro. Did you know that? I have to talk about that. So you know, guys. Let me see. Where's Shotaro? Shotaro, the main character. This kid is called Shotaro. This kid, back then, when Tetsujin was released and got really popular, because obviously after that, after the anime from '63, they made other adaptations of Tetsujin. This character was really popular, notably amongst the female audience. And you got derivative work of, or doujin works of Tetsujin with Shotaro. And that's when the Shotaro complex birthed. Shotaro complex, Shotakon. Do you know about Shotakon? There is Lolicon and there is Shotakon. Lolicon is for Lolita complex, but Shotakon is for Shotaro complex, because at the origin, it comes from Shotaro, from Tetsujin, because people really liked this character and they started making works a bit more risque with Shotaro. So Shotakon or Shotaro complex originally exists because of this character, because of Shotaro. And this one, I know that few people know it. Few people don't know it because it's really a niche trivia about it, you know. Because when people think about Shotakon, they think about Boku no Pico, you know. Only about no farther than that. But they don't know that it actually comes from Shotaro. Is the first Shota, is officially the first Shota character. You could consider it the first Shota character in anime, pretty much. So you know. That was a good tangent, by the way. That explains a few things. It does, because when you look at why people that are into Shotakon like Shota characters, someone like Shotaro really feels he checks all the marks. He checks all the marks. He's a cute Shota, you know. So that's how I guess the start of the Shotakon trope appeared.
Domestic anime, and Japanese animators continually face the challenge of remaining in employment. The story of the Muku Tree, released in 1947, is an orchestral short film that uses the seasons as a motif. The oppression of war is depicted as winter, but a chance for the nation's rebirth with the coming spring.
They really made a lot during the 40s, surprisingly enough.
From cell animation and stop motion. Though each
Stop
segment
motion
was well made, it was presumably an attempt to showcase the animator's skills for future projects, until dedicated work became available. Anime of the early post-war period can also be found in the opening credits of live-action films, which boasted larger production budgets and thus were able to throw some scraps to their animation departments.
All right.
Features around 2.5
pieces of animation
minutes
in live
surprisingly
actions.
fluid animation, in which a police officer follows a black market trader, all the while being accompanied by the lead actors singing the theme song. These types of animations are typically ignored, but in a time when work was scarce, it was a blessing for those struggling to stay afloat. Among the many hurdles of the occupation period were the American-imposed censorship policies, no longer able to promote traditional Japanese culture.
The Americans again.
Samurai and
The burgers.
many popular folk heroes. Any direct mention of Imperial Japan on screen was strictly forbidden, all of which severely limited artists' abilities to
They were
accurately
censored.
reflect how their country arrived in this situation, as well as help others come to grips with their current predicament. Veteran Nobuo Fuji was still hard at work during this time, and managed to dance the line with what could pass through censorship laws. Premiering the Bear Dodger in 1948.
That's always
the
interesting
characters
because
are
when there is
clearly dressed in traditional
censorship,
Japanese clothing,
there are still
but
people that
there
will
are no
try
swords inside.
to
Curiously, a frog
to
that the
to
main
go
character rescues
around the
speaks English.
censorship, you know, to go around it because they don't want to get censored.
As one of the creators who was around at the dawn of anime, through his varied camera angles and designs, Fuji showed just how far the industry had progressed from its humble beginnings some 3 decades prior. Most studios had no choice but to focus on censor-friendly content.
Oh,
such
that's a
as
baseball anime.
1949's Seventh Inning Stretch.
They love
and
baseball in
1948's
Japan, by the
Big
way.
Top Crime. Both utilized American set pieces and animation styles, and were actually shown abroad sometime later by Medallion Productions. These policies and almost all laws of the period came down from one man, the supreme commander for the Allied powers.
That's the guy.
MacArthur.
That's the guy I was talking about. This guy, you should remember this name because if you think about post-war Japan, it's this guy, Douglas MacArthur. You know, I've been reading Ayako recently. Because I got many of the Tezuka manga, and one of them is named Ayako, and the story happens during post-war Japan too. And this guy is mentioned because there are real characters in the manga because it's based on real life, and Douglas MacArthur is pretty much the guy that had a lot of influence on Japan in the post-war.
Born in 1880, he had extensive
And you will always
experience
see him with the pipe. You know the big pipe he had? He was always smoking this pipe. In a kind of modern Chinese movie,
on the
that
front
guy is
lines of
portrayed
the
as a
Pacific
monster.
War.
Oh,
And at
what
age
is the name of the
65,
movie?
He was given
Maybe I've
near-total
seen
rule
it.
of the Japanese nation. A devout Christian, MacArthur was tasked with
But that's the
demilitarizing
guy,
country
MacArthur.
and establishing
I
it as
forgot
a
about this
democratic
name.
ally of the West, which could act as a safeguard against the rising Soviet threat in Asia.
I don't remember the
Intentionally,
title. I
the Supreme
see.
Commander never personally interacted
Maybe
with
I've seen it,
regular
Kuma.
Japanese citizens, and hardly, if ever, traveled outside from his office and his home. This isolation gave MacArthur a sense of mystique and unquestionable authority, in effect giving him the presence of being Japan's new emperor. And it was through their new leader that
It
the
was
most
really a
influential
weird
and
period,
controversial
by the
work
way.
of modern Japan was created. The
Imagine you live in a country, like in this case you're Japanese, but imagine you live in a country with all of your compatriots, and then there is another country, like America, coming to your country, and you have to answer to them, you know. It's not like they own the country or anything, you know. They didn't made it as an official part of America, but still, you have to answer the Americans, even though they're not from the country. That's such a weird situation.
Constitution of Japan. Believing the Meiji Constitution to be wholly unsuitable for a modern nation.
And yes,
and
that
too
they
easily
made a new
manipulated by
constitution during
militarists.
that
The
time.
new constitution was written in just over
That's
a week
true.
by a group of Americans from a diverse set of backgrounds.
The Americans wrote the new Japanese constitution. That's crazy when you think about it. That's crazy. It's like if for some reason, let's say in Waffleland, the French came to Belgium, to Waffleland, and then they told the Belgium, okay, we don't like your constitution. You're gonna throw it into the trash, and us, the French, the baguettes, we're going to write a new constitution, and you're going to use this constitution for your country. That's crazy when you think about it.
It is humiliating to have their entire set of governing principles written by a group of foreigners. The Constitution of Japan was extremely progressive, beyond that of the then current American Constitution. It awarded freedom of speech, the right to unionize, the denouncement of war and militarization for any
That's
reason,
crazy.
and full equality of the sexes. Once translated
The
into
Americans
Japanese and
wrote
after
the
it
Japanese
debates,
Constitution.
The Constitution was ratified in 1947. In true xenophobic fashion, the Japanese chiefs managed to surreptitiously alter the characters to what essentially means ethnic Japanese, a racially discriminatory act that continued to plague Japanese society. MacArthur also had a secondary goal with the Constitution. Articles 1 through 8 state that the emperor is the symbol of the state and unity of the people. Essentially, the emperor was no longer the descendant of the gods and all-powerful leader of the nation.
All right,
Instead,
they
he was
change
merely
it.
a figurehead monarch. The emperor himself renounced his divinity.
They
on
made it
January
kind
1st.
of like the king in Belgium. Do you know that Belgium is a kingdom? Do you know that Belgium is a kingdom? We have a king and a queen. You know, some people don't know that. You know, a lot of people know it, but some people don't. We're a kingdom. Waffleland is a kingdom. We have a king and a queen, but they're just, as they said here, figureheads. You know, they don't really have a lot of power on Belgium. You know, especially compared to the government.
1946, a tactic employed by the US to keep the emperor on the throne, lest he be tried as a war criminal and risk destabilizing the nation during the transition to democracy. Regardless
Power
of the
over
intent,
ceremonies
the
and stuff
emperor
only.
was now a man.
Exactly.
Taking after the British royal family, Emperor Hirohito was encouraged to begin tours of the country, supposedly to help unite the people. No longer resplendent, riding on a white
But it's
stallion
interesting
as
because
in
it shows you
propaganda
that
newsreels,
Japan
the
is a
people, for the
country
first time,
that got
were able to
influenced
see
by
and hear
many
him
other
in
countries,
person.
you know.
As emperor,
And
he had
obviously
lived
a
an
big one
extremely
is
sheltered life,
the USA.
far removed from the realities of the real world. He was, understandably, incapable of carrying out even the most awkward of small talks with his subjects. But, thanks to the Constitution, he was free and absolved of his role in the war. The US were not the only ones who wished to shield the emperor. During the highly publicized War Crimes Tribunal, Hideki Tojo, Kwantung military chief cum prime minister, who oversaw the vast majority of Japanese war crimes, claimed that the emperor was powerless to have any real effect on the decision-making process. The other military leaders followed suit and took all responsibility for the war away from the emperor. Shiro Ishii, mastermind behind Japan's infamous Unit 731, the division responsible for conducting human experiments and developing biochemical weapons for use against the enemy, was granted
Damn, that was really a dark time when you think about it.
under the condition that he relocate to America and assist
Bioweapons.
them with their bioweapons research.
I guess that's
But with
why
the
they made
inclusion of the
Biohazard,
Japanese in
Resident
the eyes of
Evil.
most of the world's governments, Japan had atoned for its sins, and it was now time to shift focus on the latest threat lurking in the East.
Communism. Shades of red.
Manga, though fully deserving of its own dedicated series, has a history so entwined with anime that it is important to
Oh,
also
this
chart
is
its growth.
Sazae-san. I know, and that's Tetsujin. That's Tetsujin that I just showed you guys. That is Tetsujin, the big ass, the badass robot. This is Tetsujin, and this is Sazae-san, and both of those works are really iconic in Japan. They're iconic. Tetsujin and Sazae-san. To be fair, by then the USA had colonies on the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and in many countries that they had puppet governments on many countries like Nicaragua, Panama, Haiti. Yes, they were everywhere.
During the post-war period,
They were
of
everywhere.
which it experienced a massive influx of new readers thanks to the akobon, or red books. Printed on
Red
low-grade
books?
postcard-sized paper, they are easily identified by their use of cheap red ink on their covers. For less than 25 cents, this new affordable format of manga began selling in record numbers. The
That's
magazine,
cheap.
Manga Shonen, or Manga Boy, released in 1947, ran for 10 years, and is where many manga legends began their
Look at
highly influential
how early manga looked. This is kinda like young Koma. Even though it's only 1, 2, 3, okay, it's 6 cases here, you know. Young Koma is 4, but look at early manga.
careers. In 1946,
6 panels.
the Fukunichi
I mean,
newspaper
6 panels.
debuted Machiko Hasegawa's Sazae-san.
Sazae-san.
Sazae-san was
Sazae-san,
published in
a
multiple
classic.
newspapers across the nation for 8 years. Later
It started
being
in a
adapted into
newspaper, but then they made an
series,
anime.
which holds the Guinness World Record for longest-running animated series, being on air for over half a decade.
The longest running anime series. But Sazae-san is, even to this day, it's still airing.
Mitsuhime, also known as Sugar Princess, was first serialized in 1949 and was one of the leading shoujo, or girls manga. It features a tomboy princess who has appeared in multiple movies,
Tomboy
anime,
princess,
and
nice.
whose video game debut on the Sega Master System in 1987 was reskinned and re-released as Alex the Kid in High Tech World in the West.
Oh, I forgot
But
about that. I
skinned
know
and
about Alex
re-released as
Kids.
Alex the Kid in High Tech.
They did that a lot of times in with retro games where you had
Multiple movies, anime, and whose video game debut on the Sega Master
you had a
System
video
in
game, the
1987
Japanese version of
was
the game,
reskinned and re-released
and then they
as Alex the
reskinned
Kid
it.
in High Tech World in the
The most iconic example is Doki Doki Panic that got reskinned as Super Mario Brothers 2. That's the most iconic example. There's no more iconic than that. Doki Doki Panic that became Super Mario Brothers 2.
West. But it is the work of Osamu Tezuka, often revered
The
as
goat.
the god of manga, that for better
God
or
of
worse,
manga.
eclipses
The
all
goat and the
others during
gods.
this period. Beginning with the Diary of Machan, a 4-panel comic strip published in the Mainichi newspaper, he began to gain notoriety. And with the release of
I should
New
really
Treasure Island
complete
in
my Tezuka
1947,
collection,
his
by the
work
way.
became a sensation. Praised for its use of cinematic approaches to paneling and surprisingly layered
Do you know that he
storytelling,
made
New Treasure
hundreds
Island
and
sold
hundreds of
approximately
manga?
40,000 copies,
He made
almost
manga all
entirely
of his
through word of
life,
mouth alone.
until his death.
Despite exaggerated claims of Tezuka single-handedly pioneering genres and creating entirely new art styles, his refinements and pure prolificacy does demand a high level of well-earned respect. It was the serialized work of
Blackjack.
Tezuka
I love Blackjack. I love
and
Blackjack.
peers that became the thematic and
Tetsujin?
stylistic
Tetsujin
foundation of
isn't
anime
Tezuka
in the
though.
coming decade.
Like those are Tezuka works. Those are from other authors, you know. Tetsujin is Yokohama. Mitsuhelu Yokohama. And those are all of the Tezuka works.
So while the red books were exploding in popular culture, It was the Red Communists who were drastically altering the social landscape of Japan.
Red
One of
Communists.
the first actions taken by the US was to release the communists imprisoned by the Japanese military government. Aware of their already negative public image, they, to quote the founder of the Japanese Communist Party, Nosaka Sanzo, attempted to rebrand themselves as the Lovable Communist Party. I will keep it brief, but
Lovable
along with the Socialists,
Communist
the
Party.
Communist Party were instrumental in assisting the unionization of workers across all industries, which led to the infinitely fascinating Toho labor disputes. Toho is one of the largest and most famous Japanese film
Toho,
studios.
obviously.
Producer of classics such as Seven Samurai and Lone Wolf and Cub, has been financing and distributing animations since the very beginning of anime.
26.
Toho has played a major role in masterpieces such as
Akira.
Studio Ghibli films, and
Porco
so many
Rosso,
more. It
the
would
classics.
be impossible to mention them within a single video. Toho is and was among the most important studios in Japan, but within the industry, they were equally famous.
Oh, by
for
the
their
way,
mistreatment.
just I pause quickly enough because I want to close my window because it's starting to get cold. All right, let's continue.
Of their underpaid workers. This mismanagement, combined with communist encouragement, led to the unionization of their workers and a series of escalating strikes beginning in 1946. The first two strikes, relatively small, successfully improved salaries and working conditions. But Toho, like most companies at the time, were massively in debt, and after rumors surfaced of the studio's plan to fire around 1,200 employees, the Toho staff barricaded the studio in a revolt that would last 195
They did fire
days.
a lot of people at that
Between
time, by the
periods
way.
of strikes and protests, some animations
There is
still
also
managed to be created.
there's also another story. I don't know if they will talk about it in the video, but the railroad company of Japan, at some point they fired a lot of employees during that time, and the president of the company got assassinated. He got rigid. Even though apparently he couldn't do anything about it because the decision was coming from MacArthur. It was MacArthur who decided who told the president to fire all of those people. But obviously, since it's the president during the announcement, he's the one considered to be at fault. And he got killed after announcing that. He got killed. Because people were pissed.
Again, directed by Masuoka Kenzo and released in 1948, sees the title character attempt to stall his grandfather, who wishes to stop his granddaughter's wedding. With its excellent scoring, ingenuitive tracking and panning, it is, in my opinion, perhaps the best technical showcase of animation skill produced during the entire post-war period. However, after insistence by the Toho studio head, the US decided to go against their no-force policy, and assisted the government in expelling the strikers with an excessive display of force. In total, approximately 2,000 reserve police officers, 150 US soldiers, 50 trucks and armored vehicles, and 3 tanks instantly quelled the uprising. As similar strikes were igniting throughout the nation, it was clear that the genie had been let out of the bottle. Communist leaders abandoned their lovable approach,
Communism.
and annual May Day demonstrations became increasingly radicalized. The 1950s May Day rally became the first violent confrontation against US forces since occupation.
Red March on Tokyo and general strike against US flop.
Initial attempts from both sides to avoid extremism included land reforms, the dissolution of industry monopolies, and tax incentives. But with a failing economy, passivity could only achieve so much. The 1950s anime Gulliver's Great Adventure, obviously heavily inspired
Gulliver's
by the
anime.
Western version released a few years earlier, and an effort to appease the censors, is a curious retelling of the tale. Financed by the Japanese tax office, it depicts Gulliver washing ashore and assisting the development of a
You see
small
that it
village.
feels more limited
In
than
return,
the
people supply him with
Western
food,
Gulliver
literally labeled tax.
cartoon.
The educational short blatantly tries to remind its citizens of the importance of its current symbiotic relationship with the US. But inflation was becoming out of control, and only further stoked the flames of communism. Somewhat ironically, the economic instability was directly saved by communism. Japan's economic savior was the Korean War. Though Japan was
At that time there was a Korean
demilitarized
War
and
too.
did not
That's true.
participate in the war, they were highly skilled in the production of warfare technology, and the US's Special Procurement Agreement brought in an estimated $2.3 billion into the Japanese economy.
As they say a lot of time too, war, it brings money to a lot of people. Like there are people involved in wars that they want to people to be at war because they get money from that. And when the Korean War happened, Japan got a lot of money. It was a way to start up their economy again.
It was morbidly celebrated as a gift from heaven. Tora the Stray Cat made his return, also working hard with Tora the Ship Sweeper in 1950. The animation is frenetic and well made, though it is much less visually pleasing than that of the previous entry. The Korean War was an incredible boon to the economy, and Douglas MacArthur, along with his duties in Japan, was put in charge of operations in Korea. American President Harry Truman was concerned with defending South Korea.
Oh, that was
while
Truman at
MacArthur
that time.
was
Harry
focused on
Truman,
liberating the North.
the
His
president.
difference in opinions of what the goal of the war actually was, and his seeming defiance of presidential orders, caused Douglas MacArthur to be unceremoniously fired, not only from his role in the Korean War, but also his command of Japan.
That's
On
when he
his
got
final day,
fired.
Thousands gathered on the streets, thanking him for his service, singing Auld Lang Syne as he departed the country. Some time later, during an interview, MacArthur commented that, measured by the standards of modern civilization, the Japanese were like a boy of 12 years old. This passing remark was like a slap in the face to the Japanese, who, in turn, now ashamed of unconditionally adoring their conqueror, abandoned any plans of memorializing their ex-supreme commander. Regardless,
That's
the
me
economy
that
was
he
now
said
in-
that, by the way. I heard about that before, but pretty much he described Japan as, like, he pretty much little broad Japan, you know? He pretty much little broad them, because at this point when he left, they were actually people in Japan that were thanking Douglas MacArthur, you know, that they were, he had respect from some parts of the Japanese population. And then you hear that MacArthur later in interviews, he said, okay, he little broad them. He said that pretty much it's a country, kind of like a kid that is 12 years old, you know, which is disrespectful. So yes, it does feel like a slap in the face.
recovery. And with the signing of the San Francisco Peace Treaty in 1952, Japan was ready to remove the shackles of occupation and enter a new age. An age which, coincidentally enough, would see the development of a new device, which would fundamentally alter the fabric of society.
Saying something
And,
like
once
Japan
again,
is a young country,
reshape
like a
the
flower in full
entire
bloom,
nation.
would have been better. Yes, it's also the wording, but I think we can't even give him the benefit of the
opening
doubt
of
because
Japan to the West,
Americans,
the
especially at
Meiji
that time,
Restoration,
were really
and
known to
wartime
not
imperial government, the atomic
hide their
bombs,
thoughts.
and
You know, when they say
occupation of
something like
defeated
that,
Japan.
I'm pretty sure
had
it was
a
as a way to
profound and lasting
shame
impact on
Japan.
Japan,
You know,
though
to shame
nothing,
them.
I would argue, has
But
had a
yes, I
longer
think
lasting
it's
and
really
deeper influence
disrespectful,
on
you
Japanese
know.
culture than the cathode ray tube. The development of television technology
Because in a way it shows that he didn't even take the people who were showing him respect, he didn't even take them seriously. Because I don't know, if I was in his boots and I was leaving Japan, and I actually saw people coming outside to thank me, you know. Like, I'm not even a Japanese. I'm not a Japanese person, but they would be thanking me. I think I would be grateful, you know. I would be surprised and grateful. But here, the way he says that is a way to bully them, you know. It's demeaning.
began as early as the late 1920s in Japan, but progress was stalled due to the outbreak of the war. Now in peace, progress immediately resumed
CRTs.
and quickly escalated into a technological arms race between two companies, both vying to become the first TV broadcaster in Japan. Ultimately, the winner was decided on February 1st, 1953. The victor was
NHK.
the Nippon Hoso Kyokai, the NHK.
NHK.
Originally a radio broadcaster, the NHK held a monopoly of the airwaves
Nippon
in
Hoso
wartime
Kyokai.
Japan. It claimed its televisual goal was elevating Japanese culture, with a business model based on mandatory subscription fees, a frustrating practice that continues to this day. On the other hand, its rival, Nippon TV, or NTV,
Oh, Nippon
was fully
TV. Yes, there is the NHK and there is NTV, Nippon TV. And to give you a bit of trivia, Nippon TV is the channel that bought Madhouse, Studio Madhouse, in 2011. Because Madhouse, which is pretty much, I don't know if I told about it in the past, but Madhouse is my favorite anime studio ever. I love Studio Madhouse. It's my favorite studio. But back in the 2010, they were really bad financially. They were really going to be out of business. And that's when Nippon TV or NTV bought Madhouse to pretty much keep them afloat. And now to this day, I'm pretty sure that Nippon TV still own a big part of Madhouse.
commercial and relied on
Never
sponsors
knew
and
what it means.
advertising
So you
for
know
funding.
right now.
Advertising
You know,
agencies
it's true
understand
that
the
we
value
don't
in
really talk a
animated
lot
commercials,
about what
with the
NHK
first
means.
generally being recognized as coming from Seiko, the clock and watch manufacturer, and featured an animated rooster.
Oh,
using
Seiko,
their
that's a
latest
brand.
chronometer.
That's a
Pleasant
brand of
visuals and
clocks.
catchy
That's
theme
true.
songs meant animation was the ideal
War
medium
on
for
the
televised
NHK.
marketing campaigns. It would take time for animators to be fully utilized, though. Even a basic television set was extremely expensive, with initial prices being set at around 175,000 yen. In comparison, the average monthly income was only 15,000 yen, and a modest
Look
one
at the
could be purchased
difference.
for about 200,000.
Look at the difference
Understandably,
between the
production
monthly
rates were
income and the
especially
TV.
low,
That's
selling
crazy.
approximately 20,000 sets in the first year, limited to only the wealthiest of Japanese people, and enterprising
Obviously,
businesses
TVs were
hoping
really
to attract
expensive at
customers.
first.
This new industry was nowhere near lucrative enough to even consider the budget needed to produce its first anime TV show. Instead, an influx of American cartoons began to enter Japanese airwaves. Popular animated series like Jim and Judy in Teleland, 1941's collection of Superman theatrical shorts, released as
Superman.
Manga Superman, and, of course, Walt Disney's own Disneyland, a dedicated series designed to promote their theme park. Domestically produced live-action shows also failed to effectively compete with the quality of imported programs, whose producers had almost
Oh,
a
that's
decade's head
Zorro,
start
right?
and whose
That's
marketplace
Zorro.
had already become standardized. That's not to say that there were no popular Japanese TV shows, but broadcasts were often limited to cost-effective news reports, stage performances, and celebrities playing simple parlor games recorded live from the studio. As with cinema, import licensing fees were set extremely low, meaning that extremely popular long-running serials like I Love Lucy and Lassie, known in
Those
Japan
are the true
as
boomer
OVA,
series,
could
by the
easily
way.
dominate ratings. It was, surprisingly, however,
Those are the
live
boomer
sports
series.
broadcasts that led to the first spike in TV ownership, specifically professional wrestling. In
Wrestling.
1954,
That's
Ricky
also
Dozo-
interesting. In the case you don't know about that, wrestling is really big in Japan. Wrestling is really big in Japan. And when I say wrestling, it's not the WWE, you know, because obviously when people think about wrestling, they think about the WWE because it's the most popular wrestling company in the world. But Japan already had like his companies, you know, that were doing the wrestling stuff. And pretty much it's the NJPW that is really popular in Japan. There is the NJPW and there is the AJPW. I don't remember when they, like, in which year they exactly got created. But what I mean by that is that when I say that wrestling, pro wrestling is popular in Japan, New Japan, exactly, the New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW. It's this one, you know. It's not WWE. They know about WWE, obviously, and it's really popular too in this country. But when you think about wrestling in Japan, you think about New Japan.
Japan's most famous wrestler entered a tag team match against
With
the
Ricky
Sharp Brothers.
Dawson.
It was billed as the spiritual rematch of World War II, Japan versus the United States, squaring off once again. NTV and NHK, in attempts to increase interest in television, had set up public TVs in train stations, squares, and hospitals for public
Oh,
viewing.
they were doing
In
like
Shimbashi
for
Station
football
alone,
games.
The match drew in crowds of as large as 23,000.
They do it in here for
spectators.
football games
One estimate
for the
claims that
national
1 in
team.
9 Tokyo residents
Like putting
watched the
putting
event over the
TVs
course
in
of
the
3
in the
days.
bars
For
and
many,
everywhere
television
outside,
had offered them a moment of catharsis.
especially
Watching
during
Japan
the
finally step up against the
World Cup.
Americans who had repeatedly humiliated them. Perfectly as true to wrestling tradition, the performance is more important than reality, as Ricky Dawson himself was ethnically Korean. And the
Oh,
Sharp
I
Brothers
remember
were in
that. He was built, Ricky Dawson was built as a Japanese, you know, in the wrestling lore or wrestling kayfabe. We talk about kayfabe in wrestling, but he's actually Korean. Ricky Dawson is Korean, but he was built as Japanese.
Canadian. So, despite being more of a symbolic victory, the unifying power of television had become obvious. The shared act the audience gained through regular viewership gave them a common language and experience, regardless of location or background. Television helped solidify Japanese culture on a personal level, far beyond what wartime propaganda could accomplish. Founded on a capitalist model, this, of course, coincided with mass consumerism. Studios of all sizes
The
were able
ads.
to maintain consistent employment making TV commercials.
Advertisements.
Advertisements for Glico chocolate almonds featured
Oh,
stop motion
Glico.
animation.
Glico is the sponsor, by the way, of Tetsujin. You know, I showed the opening of Tetsujin, and at the beginning of the opening of Tetsujin, like, let me show it to you again, so you can hear, so you can see. I should have kept the link, so let me show you again about what I mean. Do I have my history? So I'm just showing because it's just at the beginning. It's just at the beginning here. See? The Guriko, Guriko, Guriko. This is the sponsor. This is the sponsor. Like, let's listen to it again. That's really sick, you know. I wish they kept doing that in anime openings for some reason. Tetsujin is so fucking cool for this reason, because in the opening, they had a sponsor, which is Guriko, and they put it in the lyrics, but the way it was done is it's part of the song. It's the start of the song, and it's really, I don't know, I love it. I just love it. I thought for a second you were going to say Guriko is the sponsor of the... I should, if I ever get a sponsor, I want to get sponsored by Guriko. I would sing it every time at the beginning of the stream. I would say, Guriko, Guriko, Guriko. I would do it. I would do it every time because I love Tetsujin. I love Tetsujin. And in Tetsujin, especially the first series... That's a sick way to make a sponsor, you know, to talk about your sponsor. You know how in YouTube videos now, there's always a part where the YouTuber talk about his sponsors. Most of them, they're not really original with it, you know, it's really basic. I just wish that we got stuff like that, you know, like singing and just like trying to be more creative about it. But I love it. That's what I love about Tetsujin. Guliko.
Extremely common in advertising of the era, which can also be seen in Nika Whiskey's commercials.
Nika
featuring
Whiskey?
a seemingly inebriated bear. Cow brand soap with more traditional
A drunk
animation
bear.
sold dairy-based skincare products. And Tori's Whiskey ran extensive campaigns with their
Pretty much
mascot
they're
character,
showing you that they made
visiting a bar
animation
after a
for
long
the
day of office,
ads.
going on vacation to Hawaii.
61.
and
We're
learning
getting
to
closer
dance to one of the
to
latest
Astro
hit
Boy.
songs.
We're getting closer
The
to
amount
Astro
of
Boy.
advertisements produced are truly uncountable.
Astro
But for
Boy
those
is
interested, I've
1963.
compiled together every animation from the era
Oh, it's
that I
here,
could find
Astro Boy.
into a single video. The link is in the description. Throughout every household, the concept of the three treasures grew: a refrigerator,
Three
a
treasures.
washing machine, and a television.
Do you have these right now in your house? The three treasures. Do you have a fridge, a washing machine, and a TV? I would argue most people nowadays have a fridge, obviously, because I would say that it's the one of the first thing you get. The washing machine, it depends. Some people have a washing machine, but also a lot of people, especially when they just moved out, they don't have a washing machine. So they do the laundry outside in a laundromat, pretty much. And then there is the TV. But nowadays, and why is it an N? Is that Netflix? Before it was Netflix. But the TV back then was really a big thing to have. But now we don't really need a TV anymore for the most part. So I would argue of these three things, most people have a fridge, pretty much.
Of course, all of which had companies broadcasting commercials for constantly. 1958 saw the development of another incredibly important product that would change the world: instant ramen. Which,
Instant
without fail,
ramen.
was accompanied by a highly successful series of animated marketing campaigns.
They love this
Although
in
TV
Japan.
ads were short,
I love
they
it
were
too.
able to keep Japanese animation studios reasonably well funded, helped artists develop their skills, and pushed the industry as a whole forward. Live-action television shows began coming into their own, and with higher budgets, often sought the assistance of animators for title cards and special effects. Gecko Kamen, or Moonlight Mask, claims the title of Japan's first TV superhero, and boasted an
Gecko
impressive
Kamen,
60%
I heard
ratings
about that
during its
though.
initial airing, helping set the standard
That
for
means
future masked
teleporting.
superhero shows. While it rarely used animation as special effects, the character did appear in multiple animated TV commercials. The show was unfortunately cancelled after a child imitated one of the stunts by throwing himself off the top of a building.
What?
But Moonlight Mask's popularity continued, seeing a manga series,
Damn.
multiple movies, a 1980s hit song, and no
Well,
less
that
than
kid
2
was a bit
anime
dumb
TV series.
because why would you
Then,
throw
the very next
yourself
year, in
just like that?
1959, the long-awaited television debut of Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy
Astro Boy.
finally arrived, in live-action form.
Oh, it started as a live
Ran for
in
1
the
year
live
with an
action
impressive
released before
65
the anime.
episodes, and its opening featuring a fully animated Astro Boy and first episode scene introducing the world of Tetsuwan Atom to its audience. Technically, this show is the first anime appearance of
So
one of
the live action of Astro Boy released 4 years before Astro Boy TV or Astro Boy anime, the anime adaptation
Japan's
of
most
a
popular
Mighty
characters.
Atomy.
For the television industry, these were all milestones to be sure, but it was the wedding of Crown Prince Akihito and Michiko Shoda that caused TV ownership to double in Japan. Born from a wealthy, yet
Oh,
common
because they
family,
wanted to see
Michiko's
the
helped
wedding.
reconnect the Japanese people with the
Weddings
royal
are really
family.
popular amongst
As
people.
mentioned before, the emperor, since refuting his divinity, had been making trips throughout the nation. Many were shocked to find that he was a shy, awkward man of unimpressive stature in an
Ooh.
ill-fitting suit. But now Michiko, a well-spoken and likable bride without royal blood, became the new face of Japanese royalty. The modern-day fairy tale was exhaustively covered by the media, and their wedding procession was broadcast live on every channel throughout the country. The ceremony was the must-see event of the century, and television ownership
Weddings.
skyrocketed to 23%, a number that continued to grow by more than 10% each following year. From the smallest village
Everyone
to
was
each
getting a
rapidly developing
TV.
metropolis, TV was bringing the country together in ever-increasing numbers.
TV,
Tokyo
lol.
Tower, the capital's most iconic landmark and popular tourist destination,
Who has a
was
TV
completed
nowadays?
in 1958, itself a broadcasting antenna, helping reach
Those
an
old
ever-growing
TVs
population
too, those
in
old TV
increasing
sets were
amount.
really cool looking,
With the
I
success
think.
of television all but ensured, there were some in the industry who dreamed of capturing an audience much larger than that of the Japanese archipelago.
Oh.
The modern usage of the word anime is synonymous with a huge number of legendary works: Dragon Ball, One Piece, Demon Slayer, Sailor Moon, Slam Dunk.
They're all naming, like, it's funny to me, but I understand why he's mostly talking about these anime, because obviously it's the type of video that when you make it, you want to make it accessible for the most people, I guess. Even though that, but what I'm trying to say is that it's funny that most of them, except Sailor Moon, are shonen, you know, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Demon Slayer. What I mean by that is, like, it's not very varied, the examples he gave.
Name of very few. There is scarcely a person alive who has not been affected in some way by these industry-defining animations. And what links them all is a single studio. The monolith that is Toei Animation.
Toei Animation,
Founded
obviously.
using revenue from the Tokyo-Yokohama Railway Company, Toei Company bought and merged several failing studios and launched their own in 1951. It began by producing low-budget double-bill B-movies, later expanding its scope to include animation. It first commissioned Nichido Animation Studios to produce Kitten's Graffiti. The short received wide praise for its animation quality and imaginative storytelling. The newly established Toei Doga.
It's funny how
Toei
those
Animations,
old
declared that they
anime
will become
already
the Disney
reminding me
of the
of
East.
old
The
school
studio head of
Western
Howard
works,
Hiroshi,
you know,
a
Disney
man with
works
admittedly
or
no background
Warner
in film
Brothers
or
work.
animation, detailed their plans to produce 2 feature-length animations and 4 shorts each year, something completely unprecedented for a Japanese company at the time. Their next short was curiously an anti-communist propaganda film, funded
Damn.
by the American Embassy of Bangkok, who were desperate to stem the tide of anti-capitalism in Southeast
This one is in
Asia.
color, by the
film's
way.
coloring and action is quite well made. Toei's newly built 3-story animation facility, equipped with state-of-the-art technology, certainly allowed the animators to create a high-quality animation, regardless of thematic content. They then set to work on Japan's first feature-length color animation. It was called Hakujaden. The film was based on
I
an
heard
ancient
about
Chinese
that.
folktale, a decision the studio made for multiple reasons. The first being the belief that the international market might be more willing to accept a film set in China, rather than one that promoted the culture and history of a nation who, a decade before, was a hated enemy. The
It's
second
true.
reason being that just 2 years earlier,
Like, we should
their
also take into account that still, it's post-war, you know, and Japan was amongst the losers, pretty much.
Toho, in a co-production with the Hong Kong-based Shaw Brothers studio, had produced a live-action adaptation of the same story, which performed exceptionally well and received multiple awards. The Shaw Brothers were also set to co-produce Toei's animated version, but dropped out after disagreements over the proposed script. Hakujaden was released in 1958, and all in all, the film is quite well animated. Akira Daikubara took on the animation duties for the human-focused sections of the production, and Yasuji Mori oversaw the portions
Nice
featuring
panda.
the animal sidekicks. Like Disney, Toei utilized the rotoscope technique, filming many segments in live action, later painting over them to create realistically animated movements. It is undoubtedly
Rotoscope.
pretty.
That's pretty much
Critically
this. You're filming real people doing the thing, and then you're drawing over it, and that's how you pretty much use the technique of rotoscoping. And you have really this particular way of animating things. When you look at the rotoscope animation work, the way the characters moves, it really feels, depending on how it's done, a bit weird at times, but it feels like it's smooth, like smoother than, let's say, a traditionally animated anime.
However, the story suffers from severe pacing issues, often meandering in scenes, seemingly to pad out the runtime, making it feel more like an animated short stretched thin. Though this was not a problem limited to Toei or Japanese animation, many films of the era contained significant padding. Internationally, the film was released under multiple titles. Nowadays, it is most often referred to as Panda and the Magic Serpent. The Chinese were thoroughly unimpressed with the adaptation, and it was given a mostly lukewarm reception in the US, being released 3 years later in 1961. And confusingly, 8 months after the Western release of Toei's second animated feature, the Japan-centric Magic Boy.
Magic
Released
Boy.
in Japan in 1959, the film tells the story of a Japanese boy who ventures into the remote mountains to train in the art of ninjutsu, all in order to avenge the death of his dear friend. Immediately, the visual inspirations for the film are extremely obvious.
It's Bambi.
Despite also having scripting
I thought about
and a
Bambi.
mediocre reception abroad, as a recruitment campaign, the film drew in hundreds of new would-be animators to the studio, including a young Hayao Miyazaki of Studio Ghibli fame.
Oh.
By 1959, after acquiring yet more animation companies, Toei released Kitty's Studio, a return of the feline and mouse trio, who satirized the movie studio production process of churning out film after film with little concern.
All of those
for
are in
staff.
colors, by the way.
It showed huge advancement compared to the original, and received widespread acclaim. During this period, Toei was not the only Japanese company entering the US market, however. Machinga Productions were contracted by Vidcraft to produce for them a stop-motion animated TV series titled The New Adventures of Pinocchio. Though largely
Oh, I think
uncredited for their
I've
work,
seen this one
Machinga
too. I mean, I've
completed
seen
a
some
monumental
sequences of this
130
one.
episodes, and Vidcraft,
The
which
New
would
Adventures
later become
of
known as
Pinocchio.
Rankin Bass, would continue to contract Japanese studios to animate their numerous
I think
now
stop
highly
motion is
nostalgic
pretty
TV
cool too,
specials.
Kuma, by the way.
Otogi Productions,
I like stop
another animation
motion.
studio that refused to join Toei's, were
I mean, all of
producing
these techniques,
exceptionally high-quality
rotoscope
works at the time.
and stop
The
motion,
top-heavy frog
I think they can be
features a
quite
young
good.
frog overcoming his inability to stand upright. The
What?
animation is buttery smooth. And
That's a pretty funny gimmick.
Themed short, The Gourd Sparrow, released in 1959, has an almost Warner Brothers-esque style to its action, setting,
Yes,
and
it
humor.
does remind me of Looney Tunes, this
Nobuo
one, the
Fuji
way it
continued
looks.
to refine his unique animation skills. In 1952, he released The Whale, a remake of his original 1923 animated short of the same name, which has been sadly lost. In 1956, he released The Phantom Ship, an operatic tale which
By the way,
begins
just
with
let me
Ofuji.
see. I guess I could, like, let's go to the video until here, until the this part. Maybe I will keep the next part for next time. I will see. I will see. I think the video is really interesting. Honestly, I maybe was expecting them to talk a bit more about early TV anime. So let's say from Astro Boy and all of the 60s. But it is true that when you think post-war obviously would mostly be the 50s. It's mostly the 50s, you know. I don't know why I thought about 50s and 60s, that maybe a gap of 20 years. Because, well, since Japan lost, it had a lot of impact on their economy, and it took them a long time to go back from that. So I assume that maybe they were going to talk about the 60s too, but it's mostly the
Handing out
50s.
cellophane waves, as if to prove that even his own paper cut technique can create amazingly fluid animations. Continuing in their attempt to produce a real international blockbuster, Toei recruited Osamu Tezuka to adapt his 1952 manga series, Son Goku the Monkey, for the big screen.
Son Goku the
Tezuka
Monkey.
himself had long dreamed of entering the world of animation, so it appeared to be an ideal collaboration. The film received numerous awards in Japan, but the re-edited English version, confusingly dubbed Alakazam the Great, was a huge financial disappointment, leading Toei to
Oh, that's
fear that
Alakazam the
anime
Great.
might
It's true that
not
they
ever
called it
find
like
an audience
that.
in the West. Tezuka, too, felt scorned by the collaboration, feeling that there was too much interference with his vision of what the film should have been, particularly the studio's refusal to allow it to have a tragic ending, which is something that occurs
So
in
it's
the
interesting because usually we say that Osamu Tezuka has pretty much two periods for his art and his manga. There is the first period where he was more optimistic, he had a more positive mindset, and then there is the second period where he wanted to write more about serious themes, and more serious stuff, deeper themes, and so making tragic ending too at times.
vast majority of Tezuka's manga. He would, however, return to work with Toei for 1962's Sinbad the Sailor, featuring a voice-acted and rotoscoped
Sinbad.
Chiba in the titular role. The feature suffers from similar issues of earlier Toei movies, and with a setting and plot so far removed from anything Japanese, the film lacks a clear identity. Between Alakazam and Sinbad, Toei also released The Littlest Warrior in 1961. The plot revolves around a brother and sister being sold into slavery, and their quest to reunite with their family. Being set in ancient Japan, it makes good use of the time period and themes, and overall is a much more enjoyable watching experience than the majority of early Toei animations. But the reuse of character designs and even key animations makes it clear that Toei were desperately trying to keep budgets to a minimum. Regardless of the domestic
It was
success of
expensive
Toei's
to
first
make
ventures into feature
anime
length
back then.
animation, they were still a step behind Disney and were unable to compete.
Look at how
with these
Disney
houses.
looks at that time, Look at how it looks when you compare early anime to Disney production. It's like night and day. I mean, the Japanese production weren't looking bad. They were looking decently good. But then you look at Disney production where it's all colorful, so much color, so much like smooth animation. I think that the early Disney production are crazy because they're so fucking old, but they look so fucking great. It's really crazy when you think
on
about
its home turf. Low salaries and excessive crunch during the production schedule not only created a noticeable drop in animation quality, but also led to strikes and rapid unionization amongst its artists. Toei began bleeding staff. Insurrection and unrest were not isolated to the animation industry, however. It was a reflection of a new Japan, a new generation of Japanese citizens, and a brief yet powerful period of rebellion.
All right, chapter 11. I think I will keep this part for next time, for next time, guys, because I'm starting to feel hungry. But I thought this video is pretty interesting, actually, because it's really talking about anime made in the 50s, which honestly we don't talk a lot about. So it's really interesting. Actually, I want to see if the same guy made a video about anime after this period, so from the 60s. It contained a lot of history. Yes, obviously, because at this time, especially in the 50s, 60s, I think pretty much until the late 70s, anime is really linked to history, but even more than nowadays, because obviously history has always an impact on the medium and on all the art forms. But back then, especially since it was after the war, everything was influenced or defined because of that. For example, in Japan, they didn't have a lot of money to make really great looking anime production like Disney, for example, because after the war, their economy was down the drain. They didn't have money to do anything. Even more, if you wanted to produce a TV anime, it was really expensive. And that's why most of their early production were black and white. Here we've seen some examples with the Toei, like early Toei production were in colors, But what Toei did is that they bought a ton of other studios that were completely out of business, broken. They bought them, and then they got finance. They got the money from the Japanese railroads. Which, by the way, I totally forgot about that. I think I heard about that, but they actually got help from the Japanese railroad. So it's not like they had to put all of the money from their pockets. And so that's how they managed to start making the first early colored anime. But besides that, when you look at stuff like Astro Boy or Tetsujin or Sally the Witch, it's another one that I really like, by the way. They're all black and white. But at the same period, when you look at Disney productions or a Warner Brothers production, they're in colors. At the same time, in Western productions, they were already making them in color. So you had still this big difference between Japan productions and then the Western productions, And mostly it's because they didn't have the money to make more than that. Pretty much. But yes, it's a pretty interesting topic, Kuma. I think it was nice. This stream felt a bit unhinged, by the way. I apologize again, but as I said, I was annoyed. Now I feel a bit better, I guess. I don't know. Maybe a bit. I think talking helps me, but yes, I had fun. I'm glad I still streamed. I wasn't sure to stream at first, but still I was like, okay, let's stream, let's do it. I just want to talk. And I'd like to finish obviously the video next stream, so probably if I stream this weekend, and maybe I'll try to find a video specifically on a 60s anime, because I think this part is really the part where a modern anime. And by modern, it's funny that I use the word modern, because when you think of modern, you would probably think of the anime of today. But I use modern because, as you can see, even before Astro Boy, Tetsujin, and Sally the Witch, and all of those anime from the 60s, they were already making anime in Japan. There was already a period of anime boom in Japan, but those were the really early production, post-war production, because even before the war, they were doing animation, as they gave the example from the 1920s, pretty much. But yes, I want to find a video about the 60s because it's really interesting. Like, it's really when the modern iteration of anime happened. And we call it the Tezuka model, by the way. Like, it's called the Tezuka model because Osamu Tezuka is pretty much the first person to have produced an anime, a weekly anime, which is pretty much the model you find today. For example, when you look at modern anime, seasonal anime, they're all weekly production, You have one episode a week. And also those are anime that are... they get their money from the sales of DVDs and toys. Obviously, back then, it wasn't DVDs, yes, yeah, it was VHS. Was a VHS already a thing in the 60s? I'm not sure, but I'm talking that they were relying on the sales of toys based on the series, and all of those other products derived from the series. That's when it happened. Before that, they weren't making toys. For example, all of those animes you've seen from the 50s, the examples they gave you, they weren't making toys like they do now, or figurines, or a VHS, DVDs. They weren't doing that. So they didn't have really a way to earn money after making the anime. But when Tezuka started making anime, he was thinking, okay, I make an anime and then I sell the products, and I get the money from that. That's the Tezuka model, pretty much. Okay, so today I want to thank Bolisu, Prince Anime. Thank you very much, as always. I appreciate your support. And Oni Densetsu, thank you. Thank you very much. Like I said, and obviously your beloved EC, thank you for the follow again. Thank you very much. Next time I should be streaming this weekend. If I do stream this weekend, I think it's going to be a bit earlier, you know. Saturday and maybe Sunday, if I stream, I could start around 4 p.m. CET this time, or even a bit earlier. I'll see, but it will be earlier stream. But besides that, that's everything I had to say, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this unhinged stream. And again, fuck coffee. I hate coffee. The coffee CEO is a bitch, kuma. Fuck him. See ya, guys. See ya next stream. Bye-bye.